Sarah noticed a new kind of exhaustion, not the tiredness of work deadlines, the tiredness of managing someone else's emotions like it was her second job. On Monday, she delivered a complex project update with calm leadership. People thanked her. People trusted her. Then she came home and felt herself shrink before she even opened the door. Her husband's mood was already in the air, sharp, restless. He complained about traffic, about colleagues, about how the world didn't appreciate him. Sarah listened, offering the right noises, the right nods, the right phrases, and suddenly she saw it. She was performing peace, not living it. Her daughter played with crayons on the floor, drawing a house with a big sun above it. "Is this our house?" Sarah asked. Her daughter nodded. "And this is you," she said, pointing to a tiny figure with a big smile. Sarah stared at the drawing. The version of her daughter wanted wasn't perfect. It was safe. Sarah felt a quiet decision forming, not a plan, not a speech, a direction, peace. She whispered to herself, "I choose peace even if it's unfamiliar." That night, Sarah's husband criticized her for something small, the tone she used when she said, "Okay." "You're disrespectful," he said. Sarah felt the familiar dizziness. How could a single word be a crime? She started to explain, then stopped. She watched her own body from a distance, shoulders up, jaw tight, eyes scanning for danger. Sarah realized she had been living like this for 8 years. She remembered her early days in Hamburg, learning streets, building routines, feeling proud of her independence. Now, independence felt like something she had to ask permission for. Her husband kept talking, stacking blame like bricks. Sarah's mind did something new. It stepped back, not into numbness, into clarity. She thought, if I'm always wrong, it keeps me busy trying to earn peace. Her daughter padded into the room in pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Sarah's husband softened instantly, sweet voice, gentle smile. The contrast was so sharp it hurt. Sarah lifted her daughter into her arms. In that moment, Sarah didn't feel rage. She felt certainty. Her daughter deserved consistency, not a home that shifted based on one person's ego. Sarah held her daughter close and thought, I will not teach her that love requires shrinking. The next day, Sarah met Maya for a short walk near the office. Sarah said, I think I've been measuring my life by his moods. Maya nodded. That's what control trains you to do. Sarah stared at the river. I'm scared, she admitted. I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking this is normal. Maya didn't push. She said, You don't have to decide everything at once, but you can keep choosing safety and support. Sarah swallowed. Support still felt like a luxury. Maya added, If you ever feel overwhelmed, talking to a professional counselor can help you steady your nervous system and your choices. Sarah nodded. At home that evening, Sarah did something small but radical. She didn't rush to explain herself. When her husband criticized her schedule, Sarah said calmly, I'm handling it. He scoffed. You always think you're so capable. Sarah's heart pounded. She didn't argue. She didn't defend. She simply repeated, I'm handling it. It was not a victory parade, but it was a line, and every line she held made the next one easier. Later, she watered the basil plant. She thought, peace grows where I stop abandoning myself. On Thursday, Sara noticed her daughter playing a new game. She lined up stuffed animals and made them behave. "You have to do it my way," her daughter said in a tiny, stern voice. Sarah's stomach dropped. Her daughter wasn't being bad. She was mirroring. Sara knelt beside her. "In our home," Sara said softly, "we can have different ideas. We can speak kindly." Her daughter looked up. "But Papa says—" Sarah's throat tightened. She didn't correct her daughter with anger. She corrected the rule with truth. "Mama and Papa are responsible for being kind," she said. "And Mama is learning to use her voice." Her daughter touched Sarah's cheek. "I like your voice." Sara blinked back tears. That night, her husband tried to pull Sara into a familiar loop, criticize, provoke, then accuse her of overreacting. Sara felt it happening, and instead of arguing the details, she asked herself one question: is this peace? The answer was clear. She turned toward the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and breathed until her body softened, not avoiding, choosing calm, choosing her daughter, choosing a life where love didn't require fear. On the weekend, Sara took a longer walk alone while her daughter napped. Hamburg streets were quiet. The air smelled like rain and bakery bread. Sara realized she had been waiting for a perfect moment. A moment when she felt brave enough. A moment when he changed. A moment when leaving would be simple. But her life wasn't a movie with a clean turning point. It was a series of choices, and the only choice she could control was her own. Sara sat on a bench and placed a hand on her chest. She asked herself, "What do I want my daughter to learn from me?" Not what she wanted her daughter to hear, what she wanted her daughter to witness. The answer came gently. "I want her to witness me choosing dignity." Sara didn't know every step, but she knew her direction. She would keep gathering support. She would keep returning to truth. She would keep choosing calm over chaos. Back home, her husband's voice rose in irritation about something trivial. Sara watched the sound like weather passing, and for the first time she didn't let it decide who she was. She whispered, "I choose peace." During the next week, Sara focused on one thing, not losing herself in the fog. She kept her notebook close, not as a weapon, as a lantern. When her husband said, "You're imagining things," Sara wrote, "My body feels tense when he says this." When he said, "I'm only trying to help," Sara wrote, "Help doesn't feel like fear." When he said, "No one will want you," Sara wrote, "That's meant to keep me small." Each note was a tiny act of loyalty to herself. And with loyalty came steadiness. One evening, her husband tried to bait her into a long debate. Sara felt the urge to prove her case. Then she remembered, peace is not won by convincing someone committed to misunderstanding. She simply said, "I'm not discussing this right now." Her heart raced, but she held the line. Later, she checked on her sleeping daughter. Sara watched her daughter's chest rise and fall, and Sara thought, "For you, I'll become the woman I needed. Not overnight, but on purpose, one brave breath at a time." A message from Sarah's family in Spain arrived one night. A photo of her niece, a warm caption, a reminder that love existed outside her home. Sara felt a pull, comfort, familiarity, escape. But she also felt something else, a refusal to let fear uproot her. Hamburg was not just a city, it was the place she had built herself, her job, her routines, her daughter's friends, her life. Sara didn't want to run. She wanted to rebuild. She wanted her daughter to grow up knowing a woman can start again without disappearing. That night, Sara sat by the window with a cup of tea. Rain traced lines down the glass. She thought about professionals, counselors, trained support, people who could help her hold her reality steady when emotions surged. Sara didn't shame herself for needing that. She reminded herself strong women still deserve support, strong women especially. In the quiet, Sara felt the shape of her future, still foggy but no longer hopeless. She placed her hand on the windowsill near the basil plant and whispered, "I'm coming." Coming back to herself, coming back to truth, coming back to peace. The moment Sara chose peace wasn't loud. It looked like this, a breath instead of an apology, a pause instead of a debate, a calm voice instead of a frantic explanation. It looked like her noticing her daughter's eyes and choosing to be the adult her daughter could trust. At breakfast, her husband criticized her again. Sara listened, then said evenly, "I'm not available for disrespect." Her heart hammered, but her voice stayed steady. He stared at her, annoyed, confused by the new boundary. Sara didn't chase his approval. She didn't beg for agreement. She turned to her daughter and smiled, and that smile was a quiet revolution, because it said, "I belong to myself." Later, on the walk to the Kita, Sara felt the ground under her feet. She didn't know the full map, but she knew her north, peace. And for Sara, peace wasn't weakness, peace was power. Peace was the beginning. Peace was what her daughter would grow up recognizing as love.